Group H. It was absolutely fantastic all the way to the final whistle of the game. And you know why, James Bench? It was because Benfica scored 6 goals against Maccabi Haifa. João Mario scoring the all-inclusive goal in the 90th minute of this game. It's almost as if they didn't know they needed to score this many goals. But in the end, beating Maccabi Haifa by 6 goals to 1 and topping the group is something pretty special.
You did wonder, like, if they how much they knew. We were saying this kind of because it only really dawned on us in around the 84th minute or something that they only needed 2 goals to get through, and they weren't necessarily going about it in the most explosive fashion. But like, clearly the message got through because João Mario, what a wonderful way to wrap up what has been an outstanding group stage for Benfica. You know, we're going to come on to talk about our power rankings. They're not quite in mind, but this team have looked like something really, really special indeed. Gonzalo Ramos up front, I thought he was excellent early on, got his goal, and he's been great throughout the group stages. The young defender at the back as well, whose name has completely escaped me right now, a real talent there as well. Silva, that's the one. They're all Silva, aren't they? Or João something. And João Mario as well. Like, let's not forget, this was a guy that was not good enough for West Ham, that was not good enough for Inter Milan. He's really found his feet as well. Roger Schmidt, the longest unbeaten run in the Champions League of any coach right now. I think we could talk a lot about how PSG let this slip through their fingers because everyone thought this was about Benfica versus Juventus for second. But I think for a moment, like, celebrate Benfica, who've done absolutely everything right. PSG have not been that bad. Benfica have just been a pretty decent match for them.
Well, what more can I add to that? I think James has taken all my talking points, but I think the only thing I'm going to say is, for me, people need to put a lot of respect on Benfica's name because that performance was fascinating. James touched on it. Schmidt, as a manager, has the longest unbeaten run in the Champions League of any other manager. And what I like about it, James, is the decisions and changes he made early in the game because he didn't like what he was seeing from his team. He knew how important this game was, and he didn't just sit on his morals saying, "Oh, the players are going to do it." No, you're a manager, manage. He took Ramos off, the goal scorer who just scored for him, took him off, made a few changes, and it was absolutely fantastic. I think they're great to watch. The great thing about Benfica, what people need to understand, and what I like about what we've seen at Benfica, and this translates to a lot of the things we always talk about when it comes to football. They got a massive windfall from Darwin Núñez. They haven't sat there and cried and said, "Oh, we missed Núñez, we need him back. We're not the same team without him." They just went and they recruited. How many times have we seen teams get a big windfall from one player and not use that money wisely? Benfica have used that money wisely. They've recruited the right players that fit their right style and system and how they like to play. And you'd have to say, a smart joke here, it's the evolution of Darwin. We say, there we go, James. Like that, Ian didn't get it, but it's all right. It's the evolution. But I just think that you got to give credit to when clubs do that, Ian. And a lot of clubs get a lot of money and they never recruit well, but they've recruited well to keep it competitive. And their academy is always something that always produces phenomenal talent and players. And we can go through a list of how many they've produced recently. But for me, I think you definitely have to give them some respect.
No, you got to give them a lot of respect. I mean, what they're doing domestically as well. I think they have like a 6-point lead domestically already in their table. They haven't lost a game domestically, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe you can prove me wrong on that one. But the way they went about their business after losing such a high-profile player, and obviously getting that type of money in for that type of player like Darwin Núñez, you got to spend it wisely. And you are absolutely spot on. What Benfica do is they spend it wisely. They do spend on experience at times as well when it's the right player coming in. They also promote from the youth, and they also bring players. And I thought the right fullback, I can't remember his name, Danish kid today, was absolutely terrific for them. And they're dangerous going forward. We know that Silva can attack. We know the goals can be shared around this team more than anything else. And you touched upon the centre-back, James, Antonio Silva. I actually touched upon him with Fabrizio Romano. Please, if you're out there and a Benfica fan or you're a fan of young players coming through and getting their opportunity in the Champions League, go back and watch our show from about 3 weeks ago where we were talking about Antonio Silva. Really fascinating. Obviously, probably one that's going to be next going out of the door because he's a 19-year-old youngster playing national team already and playing for Benfica, which is absolutely incredible. So I'm being reminded by you, James, in the private chat that Ba was the Dane. I thought he was absolutely incredible. I mean, he had a couple of assists today.
$8 million. Like,
$8 million. Business.
They've not spent a lot of the, or I think they're still in profit. You know, they didn't do, and I know obviously the scales are different. They didn't do what Barcelona did, get all this money in and send it all straight out. You know, they went and picked up your David Neres. I mean, they went and got John Brooks. You know, that's not what you normally do when you've got 100 million euros.
Yeah,
I'm going to come for you, James. Actually, quick after you finish. Go on.
No. Go on.
I was just going to say, right, like I said, I give credit to Benfica because what they did. But we've got to be honest with this as well, lads. Is it's different when you're Benfica compared to when you're Paris Saint-Germain and Manchester City and Manchester United. Because whatever players you go in for, their price gets absolutely inflated already.
True.
So it's probably easier for the likes of Benfica and all these clubs. I wouldn't say it's easier because you got to give them credit when it's due, because they do recruit the right players to fit what they're building and what they're doing in the club. But they won't face inflated market value as if it was a Manchester City coming in for you or Paris Saint-Germain coming in for you or someone like that. So do you think that plays a part? Is that a bit of a balancing act?
Well, also you're not, you know, I mean, so let's take, for instance, Enzo Fernandez, who I think was someone we haven't even mentioned, who might be one of the best players in that team, the Argentine midfielder.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you can, River Plate can sort of say, oh, you know, we know you're rich from Darwin Nunez money, but you can, you know, drop down 10 million euros on the table. And, you know, that's still enough to blow River Plate's mind. But actually, you know, as Benfica at the other end, and your Argentine scouting department is amazing. So you know that you've got a hit here. And you know that when he's a hit, especially now, you see this summer, Darwin Nunez, Fabio Vieira, a lot of Premier League teams are going straight to the source in Portugal. They don't want to kind of wait for these players to star in Spain or in Ligue 1. They want to go straight to Portugal. That means that if, you know, Enzo Fernandez, I think one day will go to a team like Man City and he'll go there for getting on for 100 million euros.
Do you know what, James? Just before that, I'm surprised that Pep didn't actually go for him, because all the time they were scouting Alvarez at River Plate, Fernandez was there playing and being a vital part of that team as well. And obviously, I know he's got that. They've got the young Kayaki, the Brazilian, who we haven't really seen a lot of as well. And he's another phenomenal talent. But again, it's all about the scouting network. We say if clubs want to be proactive and actually go out there and get the system in place, they can be very successful.
You see the comment from Mike Rodriguez coming in about Benfica finding quality in youth and selling them on. The youth system is absolutely fantastic at Benfica, as it is in Sporting, as it is in Porto, right? What clubs do in Portugal is really fun to watch, giving youth an opportunity. They have no other option. If you're going to make money in this business, you got to give youth an opportunity. I'm starting to see more Americans look at the Portuguese league because it's a league they can go to. We've seen a Canadian just go there and obviously develop all the way through now, playing for Porto, scored yesterday, Eustáquio. Listen, there's a lot of a market there for young players to go and get first team football to play competitively in a domestic league, because that is a battle to win that Portuguese league. It's not easy to win it at all, but you're also playing Champions League football, which is phenomenally important for these young players to get that type of experience. A good friend of mine, I will name drop here, Nuno Gomez. I spent a lot of time with him when I was working for BN Sports about 5 or 6 years ago, and we talked about the system and Benfica and what it is as a football club. And I just admire what Portuguese football does for young players, giving opportunities.
Is his hair still as good as it was back in the day? Because that guy had some
looking
fantastic locks.